Right. According to the computer, it said I am alive. Well, that's nice to know. On not a very good day here in Melbourne, and we'll have to pick some conversations if anybody comes on board to see whether I'm alive or dead. Well, in the meantime, I'll waffle on about. Well, let's look at the price of fuel, petrol, diesel. Well, we won't have to worry about that if we keep Daniel Andrews in power, because his goal is, if he can remember, to remove all diesel and petrol cars by 2022. And that's why he's been putting up all that stringy barbed wire along the freeways, which is more of a health hazard than anything else, especially if you're riding a motorcycle or if you're driving along the freeway and there's a bit of a pile up ahead of you. Without that stringy barbed wire, you can actually drive off into the grass and slow down or into the bushes and save yourself a lot of damage. But if you run into that wire, of course, you will get ripped to pieces. So he's getting away with a lot of stuff. So by 2022, he wants to be the first man on the moon, I suppose, in a sense. He wants to get rid of petrol and diesel cars and have all. If you haven't got an electric car, his plan is that you won't be able to register the ones you have. Now, if you said that to us last year, we would believe you, but now this ratbag has shut the state down, put people in jail, curfew till 9 o'clock at night, said you can't go out and visit your family or friends, you can't go to a wedding, you can't dance at a wedding. So what's to stop them doing this? Nothing. We've allowed, it's all our fault. Well, the people who voted, and anybody who would vote for the Labour Party obviously are steeped in their own stupidity, because the Labour Party has gone back a long time. Even in 1922, the Labour Party in Queensland fooled the Queensland people at the time. Well, it wasn't hard, and it's probably even easier now, into believing that they were going to do something good. So what did they do? They told the people they didn't need an upper house, so they could make laws without any scrutiny, which Daniel Andrews is doing now anyway. He's turning rules into laws overnight, and he's getting these private police force, Victoria Police, private company, to enforce them. No separations of power. The courts, he owns them too. No separation of power. So Daniel Andrews is a Hitler. He's a dictator, and he owns and controls all the people around him. And of course, the health minister got thrown under a bus. Well, the same old thing happens in the police force. If you step out of line and you don't play the game, they'll find a bus and they'll throw you under it. So when they tell you in the police force, as a lot of old covers will tell you, we've got it covered, they say. Yeah, they've got it covered till you slip up and they'll throw you under a bus. And that's basically what happens. So we got a couple of people come on board here watching from Central Leo, from the prison state. That's a good one. And Sharon's come on, so a lot of people know that I'm alive, and I didn't even know. I thought for a few moments I was talking to myself, well, hi guys, Sharon and Leo, good to see you on board. If you've got a question, I don't know how the hell you ask, because I haven't done this before. I may never do it again, but we'll see how we go today. But Daniel Andrews is evil. Why? Well, party. Well, all the parties. You see, the thing is, the other parties are not doing much about Daniel Andrews, because it's like people in a glass house. We've all been told, hello, Mark Twain. People have been told not to throw stones in a glass house. So the Liberals have got so many sins in their little cupboard. They won't say nothing, because again, they're in a glass house. And ScoMo, the federal government, he's got no say over the states, because the states are all independent companies, private companies. And Daniel Andrews done a deal with Hillary Clinton when she was here in 2018. And Googled it yesterday and found that date. And he's on a deal with the Clintons. So he's so institutionalized in his own importance that he's going to go to the letter of the Clintons' phony laws. So he's going to say, right till the American election's over, you guys are going to pay the penalty. You're going to stay inside, because I am a strong supporter of Clintons and the liberal Democrats in America, which are absolute crazy bastards. And somebody asked Lee, say you're doing fine. Well, thanks, Lee. I didn't realize. I've never done it before, and I haven't got another screen to watch to find out whether it did come up. But thanks for telling me. Good afternoon to Mark Twain. You said afternoon all. and you're watching. Sharon is watching from the Gap, watching you. I'm voting for the Gap. Oh, they're voting for the Gap. Oh well, yeah. Well, voting is an illusion to a certain degree. It's he who counts the votes, and hence that's why Donald Trump's got a bit of a dilemma, as we all know. They find in postal votes and in where they've been dumped. So Starling said it's not who votes, it's he who counts the votes. So that's why we're all in lockdown all around the world. It's all part of a worldwide government to shut the Americans down. And of course, in all the democratic cities, they're out there burning. In California, oh, they're gone crazy, and that's one of the largest states. So to stop people physically voting, going up into the schools or wherever they vote, casting a vote, dropped a pen, casting a vote, and so they'll do postal votes. And of course, Malcolm Turncoat or Turnbull, he was an expert at. Hello, Mrs. Lancaster, how are you? Good to see you. Nice to see you on board. Yeah, well, that's what they want to do, postal votes here. And we had one for Malcolm Turncoat, I call him. He spent millions of dollars doing a postal vote for the gay activist business. And, I mean, who knows who voted? So the referendum, the Labour Party and the Liberals, they're all guilty of the same problem. So what are we going to do about it? Well, people are protesting. Good. We have to go back. Well, that's why we've set up the international, and I do stress international. It's controlled by the International Common Law Court, and we have charges already been laid. They've been approved by the International Common Law Court, and they will be delivered in invitations to mediation. And if that doesn't work out, it'll go to invitation by summons to a jury. Now, I've been talking to a few friends who are in the business for a long time, and they reckon that we have a grand jury, which is 23 people, especially in cases for politicians and corrupt. I hate the term corrupt cops, but we have an abundance of them, and they're all in the management area. So I think the police need to be re-swore in, and apart from a lawful swearing ceremony, they should actually swear an oath to uphold the Constitution, the 1901 Constitution, and that will give them a lot more grounds in common law. But we have to go back to basics. Has anybody got any questions? If somebody else, we should get rid of them, but getting rid of them, it's how do we do that? In the meantime, we have to, when these criminals can turn rules into laws and get an unlawful organization, which is masquerading as officers of the Crown without the Crown, and now they want to get parking blokes to come along and arrest you. It's an uphill battle. I personally believe that after November, the American elections, they're trying to stretch out now with postal votes, and they don't want a real decision, even if there is one made on the 22nd, or sorry, the 2nd or the 3rd of November. They want to stretch it out. Anybody got any questions? Because that would help me here talking to myself, really, apart from people out there having a look in. I'm just checking there's anybody live. Nobody's asked a question yet. Oh, here we go. Do we have ourselves in the same situation? Yeah, Marlena. Manuela. Yeah. Well, there's not much we can do. Bill Turner. I don't think Bill. It's now 3:10 here, 4:10, 5:10 in New Zealand. I don't know. I didn't invite anybody really. I just decided to try it out, and here I am talking to a few people I know. Some I know well, and some I don't know. But we're all friends, and we're all in Victoria, and we're all in the same boat. So there'll be a few people from other places. Look, I haven't published the facts really well. It's an experiment really to get out there and talk. But what do we do? Bill Turner, great man, good friend of Bill's. We've become good friends over the last few years, and Bill's a leading man in this field with the maritime law. I personally have moved along with a few other people into looking at the common law, which is now being mentioned quite a bit. And it's amazing how sometimes these people come up and say that, oh, it's not lawful. Some of these politicians, and sometimes they'll mention the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Now, it's amazing looking at the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is when they have parliamentary privilege, that comes from the Bill of Rights. Now, of course, they stand by that. But when it comes to our rights under that Bill of Rights, bearing arms to defend ourselves, oh, the Bill of Rights don't exist. So, postal surveys, look at some asked questions on postal surveys. Well, nobody has asked me a real question here. If you could ask me something, I'll do my best to answer it. Anybody got a question? Because I can rabbit all day, but I get sick listening to myself. And probably other people too, listen to me. The prison, yes, we are. Yeah. So somebody's Lee said something about prison here, and he's laughing. Well, we will. The people who've Andrews, he will go before an international jury or a grand jury probably first, and then international grand jury second. Sorry, there's two juries really. We can charge somebody by, which we're quite entitled to do, under the grand jury, which is 23 people, and 23 people then make a decision whether there's a case to answer, and then it goes before an international common law court, which is 12 juries, and then their decision then goes back to the UK, and it becomes an international verdict, and it has to be. How come Daniel Andrews remains John? Thank you for that question. Because about 60% of the people who voluntarily wear masks are brainwashed, and I regard them as the walking and living dead. And if you walk out without a mask, even if you have a doctor's prescription, like some man said the other day, he's got asthma really bad, he's got a prescription, he takes his dog for a walk, and he gets abused by people. And I've had similar cases, people having a go about not wearing a mask. And that's why this clown is politically popular, because most of it is in his own head. But those fools who believe there is a virus out there, and anybody who believes there is a virus out there is a fool. And it's nothing more than a common cold. And there's lots of evidence and lots of doctors coming up and saying so. But by sticking their neck out, they'll get struck off. This is a very, very powerful political point. And it's all with the Democrats and our politicians here. Oh, the safe city thing. See, Daniel Andrews signed up to this oh God, I don't know whether it's a safe city or the secret city or some flaming thing. That's why the police have painted their cars black with the white writing, and they've got all their vehicles and their bomb trucks with capacity of 10, 15 prisoners. That's all to do with that's the safe city thing. So we're pretty in a bad way over there. Sharon, I suggest. Sharon Gunn said, I don't think it's the biggest scam. It is. It's the biggest con job since Adam and Eve and the Tooth Fairy. I mean, remember we used to tell our kids that Santa Claus came around every time, and and then we had to tell the poor little devils at the time had to be told it didn't exist. Barry Under, which jurisdiction? This is from Kevin, the ID authority. How do we hold them in their potential? Well, if you're talking about identification, well, that's the ones I've been helping people with and doing a few. And it's not a business. I'm just helping people out to do the best I can. And the ID is where your surname, which everything comes in capital letters and is addressed to the deceased estate at law. And that's your surname. Your given names like John Michael Doe. Well, Doe will come in capital letters. So when they address you in the capital letters, they're talking to the deceased estate. So if you have an ID with your name, your date of birth, and photograph on it, a proper ID that says exactly where you live, everything that any law enforcement agency would require. Your name in capital letters is in brackets. So anything in brackets or in summonses and boxes has nothing to do with the rest of the certificate. It just explains to who you are. Somebody else comes from who's Lee? You're in the Central Victoria. Feel sorry for Melbourne. Oh my God, I have asthma and I don't believe in the line. Oh, well, that's if you guys out in Central Victoria, you're free. You can actually go out and have a little bit of fun. But 5 million people in Victoria, in the city, are all smart city. Thanks for that, Lee. I couldn't remember. I have nothing written down here. I've got a piece of paper to write a question if I had one that I didn't remember. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Smart cities is set up by the Democrats. Now, all this, you see, the media, the lying bastards won't tell you this. It's only the Democratic cities where you've got the mayor, the Democratic mayor, you've got the governor, which is like the state, like Daniel Andrews is the governor if he was in America. And they don't tell you about all the states where the problems is Democrats. In the other states, they're not locked down. In the Republican cities have no problems. Now, I'm looking at a list here to see somebody else change my birth certificate, common law court. Yes, yeah, you can send that off to the common law court in the UK, and you can register it there. And oh, you haven't heard back from them. Well, at the moment, the common law court is just moved into the last couple of weeks. They've bought a premises in Scotland. It's a 3-story building. They're doing it all up. They'll have a studio for doing videos and stuff, and they've turned out a couple of really good videos before this. The guy really in charge, well, he doesn't like to be called in charge. He's the one helping the people, for the people, by the people. He is under the pump at the moment because apparently there's a lot of nurses have written to him and physically complained that they're going into schools and injecting the kids without the parents being there, without the parents' knowledge. And John is going through, trying to stop that through the courts at the moment. I'm told the boys the truth about this. I'm told my boys the truth about Saint Nick. Ah, somebody. That's good, Lee. He's told his kid about Saint Nicholas that he doesn't exist. But I hope they're about 5 or 6 or 7 by now, and they haven't rebelled. Yeah, we have been told a lot of lies. But anyway, regards. Okay, Manuela. Regards to the infringements, Barry, I have a letter instructed with the red design. How do I attach the original copy of the infringement? Well, if you have anything you send back to them, send them back a copy, and if you have a stamp, put your stamp on it to say that it's a true copy. Send it back to them. But wait till these infringements. There's not much point doing anything with the infringement up front because it goes back into the staff, which are probably they just look at it and go stamp it, rub it off. It goes into the next section, and then it becomes a warrant. Now, when it becomes a warrant, then you can say you promise to pay with clean hands and equity, provided they can provide to you information about the court, who was the magistrate. And now it's an infringement court, is a computer, so they can't supply that. Who the magistrate was I there or not? They can't answer those questions, so you can't get full disclosure. And then you ask for a copy of that warrant. They can't give you that either. So therefore, the whole process they've gone through is just a waste of their time. But they don't mind. They've got plenty of time, plenty of money. They just print it, and the fools who pay the fines, well, they just add to their stack. Yeah, just send back the original or a copy of the original. Always keep a copy for yourself, or keep the original. Send them back because you're basically wasting your time anyway until it comes into an infringement, or sorry, a warrant. They can't supply the warrants. On the YouTube channel, if you look somewhere down the bottom somewhere, there's fun with fines, and that's Darren, a guy went undercover in there and he videoed the whole thing, and the supervisor goes away and can't find any warrants, and even she was surprised. So it's Serco owned that company, and they forgot to register when they changed from civic compliance to thick fines. They forgot to register it, and apparently somebody else has already done it for them. So I don't know whether they're going to go from there. Anybody got any other questions that I can try and answer off the top of my head? Well, this is hard work. Yes, yeah. Wait till you receive that warrant when it goes to a warrant. It's a process they go through. They go through all the processes. Don't ask to go to court because that's a big mistake. There's no such thing as a real court anymore. It's just another state bank they've set up to make some more money. Yes. So just hang on till it goes to warrant. The smart cities. Oh yeah, they're a prison for the people, and look, they've been planning. Clinton was here in 2018, and there's a photograph a few photographs on Facebook, and I think it's on one of my. I put a video up, and I put Daniel Andrews and Clinton together. They've been planning to stop Donald Trump now since he got in. The last time when he got in 2016, they were convinced they won, and they now they're going to make sure that he doesn't get in for the second time. So they're doing everything they can. Somebody, Riley Smith has asked me to have Ricardo Bossi. I don't actually know the gentleman. I don't know anything about him. I'll write it down and look it up because that's probably the best thing to do. Because sometimes I look at somebody and I find, wow, this is good stuff. So I'm writing it down. RICDOBOSI. I'll have a look at that Riley Smith and see what the story is on that. I don't know the guy offhand. Anybody got any questions that can help them with to the best of my amateur ability? Yeah. I don't know many people is on. There's quite a few. Oh, here. Oh, John. In the UK appears to be a process of dismantling common law habeas corpus. Yeah, habeas corpus is not part of common law. Habeas corpus is part of maritime commercial law. And when the habeas corpus applies when somebody's been arrested and they'll be sitting in the police station for a couple of hours and they haven't been charged or released, then you put in a habeas corpus document and demanding that they be released. Now, they have to be released if they're not in court. I think it's a period of 1 to 2 hours, I forget offhand, and the charges haven't been laid, they do release them. Now, it's not common law, it's under maritime commercial law. So habeas corpus, believe it or not, when the Constitution went and the removal of Queen Elizabeth II as in 1-1, habeas corpus may have gone out the door as well with that as well, because now we're working with the state corporation. Daniel Andrews, the governor of the state corporation, or the CEO, which he should be known as. ScoMo is the chief executive officer of the state of or the whole of the federal Australia. And why? Okay, here we go. We got a question from PS. Any clues why the borders may open? Any clues when the borders may open across self-employed businesses lost income? Well, the closest of the borders itself is unlawful. It's criminal. It's insane. It's a sign of insanity, and it's a sign of collusion with the Democrats in the states. It's got nothing to do with bacteria. We've had worse bacteria, influenza attacks here, chicken flu, fox flu, dog flu. It's just all coincides, which is on Fox News this morning. Somebody said it, and I've known this for a long time. It just to coincide with the elections in America to stop physical voting. Barry, what's the question here? What part of? Yeah. Alexandria, hi Barry. Are we getting rid of DA? What's DA? Dead on arrival? That would be a good one. I'm sorry, just explain the question a little bit more with Pauline Hanson. Please explain DA. Is that district? Oh God, I don't know what the heck it could be. I refuse to pay a bill. Okay, Sharon Gunn has asked a question. Barry, I refuse to pay a call independent persons passing into. Oh, the passing into a bill. Yeah, well, if a society, I think this may be the answer to that question. A society, a small town of 2,000 people becomes a township. And they can register with the Attorney General to say they are a township. And if they promise to pay that bill before it's passed by the third reading, it won't go to the third reading. It will be thrown out because the bill they're going to pay it, and it won't go any further. I refuse to pay a bill. Oh, hang on, we got another question. I'm trying to read these questions, and I'm an amateur at this. Hang on. Yes. Yeah, well, I know for a fact that as far as the COVID virus, I know somebody who was in the very late 80s who died of a heart attack. That's the reason they were in a nursing home, because they were pretty ill. And they complained because they said it was covert. Crap, I hate the word I even don't like to say. And the family kicked up a bit of a fuss about it. And then the nursing home says, well, we got $25,000. We'll give you $9,000 to cover the funeral expenses if you let it go as COVID virus. They're all getting paid, and all these people, I believe, that are queuing up. I know for a fact one friend of mine went and got tested for this crap, and he got $450 or $420 for his trouble. So when they die, when they say they die of that virus thing, they all get money. So it's all money related. And when the money dries out, a lot of people won't back Daniel Andrews anymore because they'll be back to realistics, and it'll get painful. And the tests are all, it's basically, my personal belief is, and we're all entitled to that, they're collecting DNA. I don't think that the tests prove anything, because some people have been tested and they were told they had it, and then they were told they didn't have it, and then they were told it just go over and over again. It's just a con job. Mark Twain, who is paying for the people, paying the people off? Well, the government. You see, one time we had gold and silver. They couldn't print money and they couldn't afford to go to wars. And then they got rid of the gold and silver and they just printed the money. So if you look at these printing presses, they're working probably 24 hours a day printing money. Say you get $600 in your paycheck. After they've took 3 or 4 out of it for tax, then they take half of that off you for rent, more, food, taxes again, and you're left with a few. It's just to keep the system, keep the slaves happy, while the rich and powerful just laugh. And now the rich and billionaire clubs in America have turned the whole world into their playground and turned us all into slaves. That's who's paying the people off. And whose fault is it? We allowed all this to happen. We allowed Whitlam to get rid of the first part of the Queen. We allowed Bob Hawke, which I personally thought was a great guy. I met him on a number of occasions. He got rid of the Constitution. He got rid of the Queen by the Act of 1986, and turned us into a republic, which is bullshit. And now we have royal commissions with no queens. Or queen, we have queens councillors now. These barristers and solicitors, 99% of them are a health hazard. They're the enemy of the people, and most of those clowns are in politics. I think 90% of the American politicians come from the Bar Association. Sharon again. I'm 58 years old. Never had such a disgraceful. Oh my God! Yeah. Well, I'm 75 in November if I make it. After this broadcast today, I'll probably get capped. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. And if you told me a few years ago that this would happen, I wouldn't believe it to the extent. I knew we had a one world government, and but we allowed it to happen. You see, and if as long as we keep voting for these clowns and we don't put an end to it by picking independents and people who are going to see, there's no under the Commonwealth. There are no political parties. Everybody's an independent. We have no prime minister because that's a made-up job. So the whole thing, we've got to go back to the Constitution. The Constitution is the law of the land. I would encourage you to investigate the finances, who's building billions of dollars loans. This would come from PS involved. Yeah, well, it's the money it's all fiction. BS 75%. I look. Oh right, she doesn't believe I'm 75. Well, not 75 till November. So yeah, look 50. Well, why? I put that down to vitamins, minerals, and stuff. I've been taking. People laugh at vitamins and minerals. Well, the medical profession do, but I've been taking a lot of vitamins and minerals for about 50 years. It's a lot of money, but so far for an old bastard, I feel pretty good. I'm overweight. I'm going to lose weight, I promise, but not today. I'm allergic to the gym. I took my Sharon Ryan. I took my guns license, not wearing a mask. Oh yes. Oh, they took. Sharon Ryan has said they took her the gun license for not wearing a mask, but it wasn't. But I was. How do I approach this? Oh wow. Yeah, they did make that statement that they would take people's gun license off them if they were caught without wearing a mask. Well, of course, what you have to do is to go after the chief executive officer head of licensing and lay charges to the International Common Law Court. Very simple. And we'll look, as when we get over this thing in November, I hope it's November, we'll have large gatherings again for you have to see the process of common law is we summon somebody, right, to mediation. They come in, we have a public meeting or private meeting, sorry, where they put their case, you put your case, And if we come to a happy conclusion, it doesn't go to a court. But if it doesn't, then we need a public meeting. And the more public that come, the better. And out of that, we pick a jury through a hat process. And then these people, the jury makes the decision on the penalty and whether they're guilty or not. But they definitely, the gun license things, that you have to charge that individual who's head of the internet or the licensing division. They're responsible for their actions, and it's unlawful. Now somebody's been threatened with evictions. Squatters' rights. Well, squatters' rights in common law. Squatters' rights do exist in common law, and you'd have to, if you moved into a building that was empty for years, if you pay rent. Now, this is something what you do. You put money into an account. Say you said, look, this place is a bit of a dump. It was empty, and the normal rent says $400 a week, and you in your opinion, you believe you put 100 or $150 a week into a bank account for the rent. Then when it comes to eviction time, they can't really evict you on the common law because you've paid rent and you have rent to pay. So you've done the right thing by them. But I don't recommend people go around squatting, although a lot of premises are like houses, corporation houses are empty. And I don't want to encourage anybody to do it, but if they do actually go there, put some money in the account each week towards rent. Oh my God, I'm running out of steam here, guys. Actually, Sharon gone. Yeah, it's good to talk to you too, Sharon. I tell you what, I should have a glass of sherry or something. Anyway, it's pretty hard to keep talking to when different subjects are coming up. But look, I like to help people, and the common law court. Yeah, the restrictions on we can't. Kevin has said about we can't have any kind of a court, and I do not want to have, nor does the UK want any court case with friends and family as on the jury. So we have we'll go to a town and we'll bring in as many people. Melbourne publicly make an announcement, say on the 26th of the day, wherever they get, we have a public meeting and we want to pick a jury, and out of that, then quite a few people will turn up to a venue. And they'll put their hand up to say, look, I want to be on the jury. And say there's 50 people. We'll take the names out of a hat, look at them, and then we'll question them whether they're suitable to be on a jury. That has to be done. And we'll go on from there. Yeah, well, Westpac, Sharon again, yeah, sued for, $1.6 billion for trafficking children. Well, I don't know about that. And the more I see about this trafficking business, and I watched a few programs on Foxtel, that it's going on, and they're trafficking slaves as well. So it's been going on a long time, and these people, well, Donald Trump has promised to, and he has done so far, stopped a lot of that, and we need to do that here. There's a lot of crap going on here as well. And as far as $1.6 billion to a bank, they just write out they just get a blank check, write out the number and give it to the other bank or the fines people, and everybody's happy. So banks, they just create money. So when they lend you some money to buy a house, they actually lend you money from your QC account, your birth certificate, say $500,000. They keep it for 4 or 5 weeks, and then they ring up, say your loan's been approved. They pay back that money. They've already made interest on it. Then they write out a check to add whatever numbers they want on it, and that you promise to pay a couple of $1,000s a month back to them. That's how they make the money. And of course they'll foreclose. And I know this for another fact, so be careful if you've got a mortgage or something, because I know a friend of the family works in the bank a little bit up the ladder a bit, and they were told if they had any mortgages, which to sell the properties, pay them off, and make sure they have no mortgage debts or mortgages if they can help it in January, because the banks will start calling in. Hence the fact that the Bail-in Act in 2019. So the banks need money. They'll call in all your superannuation as well. And this is what I've been telling a few of the senior police officers up the top in Bullshit Castle, that the government will throw them under a bus when it comes to the superannuation. So they should stand up and arrest Daniel Andrews instead of talking about him. Yeah, there is more truth coming out every day, Manuela. I have to pronounce how to say your name. I've met you once, nice lady. the ScoMo, College Park. Oh right, oh right. You're paying. I owe the shack pay rent on a plot. We're paying rent for 16 years. Heartless Corporation. Yeah, well, find out who the ScoMo. Find out who the man in charge is. There's always somebody at the top. There's not much point. It's like walking into McDonald's as Donald Trump's or Donald Trump, uh, our friend in New Zealand. See, I'm getting old and tired. He walking into McDonald's and asking for a menu from KFC, and went into the banging on the counter and complaining about something that a fine or something. The people behind the counter, they're just workers, right? They're slaves like us. So you have to take the CEO of that organization to the common law court, international common law court. I keep saying international because there's a few people talking about common law courts in Australia, and well, they're entitled to set them up. But as far as I can see, it's a little bit of someone's making money. So the international common law court is New South Wales, Victoria, and New Zealand. That's the only ones approved by that crowd. Anybody else running? Well, great. I don't care. Go for it. But we have to fight back through common law courts, and it's the only way. The common law, the common law, yeah, is down, Sandra, because they're working on it. They've moved into a new premises, as I said. They're all volunteers. The guy who started it all up, he's a workaholic. He doesn't delegate. We talked to him on Sunday night. He's now fighting the cases. There's a woman in jail in France. He's trying to get her back. She's there unlawfully, and he's helping stop vaccinations in the schools now. But the site goes up and down. They're working on it. They're going to build a brand new website. And I said they're all volunteers and they rely on bits of donations. And as the International Common Law Court here, we have no money either. But so we have no funds. We're looking at setting up something so people can put a few dollars in and help us out. We have New Zealand have set up the International Common Law Society, and if you want to look at that, it's on my websites, the address, on my YouTube channels, and they're doing pretty good. And that's one way of raising a bit of funds to help us out. We have set up the sheriffs. There's a couple of sheriffs being appointed by the International Common Law, 3 in Victoria, 2 in New South Wales, and 2 in New Zealand. The uniforms have been approved and the badges have been done, and the shoulder patches, and the shirt is khaki, just like the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department khaki shirts and dark brown trousers. Sharon, what's that? McDonald's in the USA has done for the children with the murder. McDonald's in the USA have done for children that were murdered and put into. Oh my God, I don't know what you're saying there. I hope you laugh. And then Ralph said McDonald's are BMO, soy, not meat. Oh well, I don't know about that. The only thing I ever had at McDonald's is a seasoned Caesar chicken roll, which is quite nice, tasty. But that's probably why I've got a bit of pork on the old chin here, But I don't eat very often. But sometimes when you're really hungry, you eat anything, and then you're sorry. Oh, GMO, modified food. Is that it, Ralph? Anybody got any more questions on fines, councils, how to stay free in Victoria? Look, we'll probably the next time we'll do this, I'll probably make it more national, I suppose, and we'll get something to talk about. But yeah, I'm running out of steam. Yeah, modified food. Yeah, I don't know a great deal about it, but it's like our seeds and stuff, and grain and potatoes. You buy potatoes now. Sanso, what do you call Santos. They sold their company to a German or French company. So to stop the farmers growing their own food, they have to buy the seeds off them. They've done the same to us. Ralph, in common law, the same in all states, Australia. Well, there's a couple of people around in Queensland talking about setting it up, and they want to do Zoom courts, which you can't do it. Anything that's not a physical court on a level playing field is not a court at all. You can't do that. And our international common law court is run by very, very strict rules, and if we don't abide by them, we're shut down. And as simple as that. So we can't have any bodgy stuff going on whatsoever. How Mark Twain asked how to avoid paying local council rates. Well, to avoid paying them would be silly if you can pay them. If you can't afford to pay them, you go to the council and tell them that you're in dire straits and ask them for. There's a special form they have to. They will only give it to you if you persist on asking for it and persist and persist. You fill that in, then you won't have to pay rates again because they'll get it from your CUSIC account, your birth certificate. Now, don't just stop paying rates. A lot of people give advice on these stupid channels saying don't pay rates, and then people end up, the council will sell it out from under you. They will put it up for sale because we have no, Feely Simple went with the Queen. You don't have that anymore. The councils will claim they own your property. So don't stop paying rates, but if you are in dire straits, go and insist on that form, a hardship form. I forget there is a name for it. I can't remember everything on the top of my head. But they will give it to you, but you have to persist on getting it. And a lot of people activity going against the child trafficking. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's all coming out now. And I haven't actually got my head around it. I don't want to believe it, but I believe it. Just wanting money coming from Victoria, maintenance of the police. Yeah, well, the police, if you notice before all this, that when you rung them up for small complaints like music, they wouldn't come because they have a budget. I think it's $167 for one constable to turn up and 200 constables for a half hour or hour, and then half an hour. I think the helicopter was around $7,000 to $8,000 an hour, and every half hour they charge half that again. And they only go to places where there's domestics, and domestic, of course, the courts make money out because that's a bank. The shopping centres, if they ring up the police, they're there within seconds because the big shopping companies are putting money into the police. The police are a company; they got to make money. Hence, they got a. My mate won't like me saying this, but they got a enterprise bargainer for the traffic, and it's all to make money to keep them going. Then they're not a government agency anymore. Oh, very sad. Well, yeah. Well, Queensland John was invited, but they decided they'd go their own way. They didn't want to be beholden to the UK. Well, we are if we're a Commonwealth. And the reason I went with the UK is because if I and you start up on here for the behalf of the people, they'll come back on us. We have no standing, but if we come back, it's not us laying the charges. It's the people laying the charges through England to the International Common Law Court, so that it's an established organisation. That's the reason we insisted on sticking with the UK. Sharon Young, what's the website address? The website address is the Common Law Court. Oh, Common Law Court. Look, it's on my look on my YouTube channels. It's at the back of them all. But it's the commonlawcourt.com. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, it's on the look at my YouTube channels, and I've put it in a lot of the latter ones, and you'll find it in there again. Sharon and Debbie. Oh, Gregor said something. I don't understand that one. Thanks, Mark said thanks. Yeah. Do we have enough sheriffs to enforce the findings of the common law courts? Yeah. Well, the sheriff initially. Now, it's a good point. Initially, is only responsible for delivering the summonses, conducting the courts, helping out the courts. He can appoint. There will be, and down the track a little bit, appoint deputy sheriffs. Now they will come from military or experienced policemen and women, and or anybody who's got experience in law enforcement, even security guys who've had a bit of experience. But that won't happen. The law enforcement aspect, we need a bit of money to come in to set that up. We try and get some donations from the vehicles. But sheriffs at the moment are elected, but we have to have a public meeting, and the society is building up. So by becoming a member of the International Common Law Society, they actually, when they get to 2,000, can actually elect the sheriffs. And then what we do, we go to the first court case, we get the jury to endorse and cement the appointment. So as an appointed personnel by a community, you actually override the people doing the job now. So eventually it'll take a bit of time to get the law enforcement, but the enforcement acts, if the the sheriffs at present times in the beginning will be to conduct summonses and try and get, say, a lien was taken on someone's house, then they take a lien on that property and enforce that through the system and get the money that way. Yeah. Yeah, well, this year, Sandra said any successful cases. No, in Melbourne we haven't. We can't have a case in Melbourne till Daniel Andrews is out of the picture and we have freedom where we can have a public meeting. We've got about 5 or 6 cases already approved by the International Common Law Court for proceeding to the next stages, which is mediation and then summons, if necessary, to court. That will start soon. Yes, Daniel Andrews was definitely one of them, but we want to go through a process of the court case with the grand jury. A grand jury case will be held in Melbourne. It's a common law thing as well, so we'll do that. Then it'll go to if the grand jury decides there's a case to answer, which could be seen in reasonable grounds. There's lots of cases. Then it'll go to a 12-man jury international court here in Melbourne as well. And we'll want all you guys to turn up as members of the public. Sharon? Yeah, well, I've got some family friends, Sharon, in the place and a few close friends. And I know a couple of the people up the top. I'm an ex-cop. And I tell you guys, I am so embarrassed even to badmouth the police, but I have to, because what's happening now is nothing short of criminal. It's disgusting. It's sickening, and they're all dressed up in the safe cities. Someone told me I should have written it down. I can't remember, and they're all obeying Daniel Andrews as if he owns them. Well, he does, because they're just a corporation, and it's sad. Yeah, it's sad if you got members in, because let's face it, the police have to wear masks. If they don't, the public have a go at them. The bosses have a go at them. And they're out in the rear, and even the bosses up there, they lose their jobs, 40 years in the job, and you lose your pension and everything. So we have to stand up and encourage them to change and help them. Yeah, know your rights groups well, there's a lot of groups knowing your rights around. I don't want to bag them, but knock them or anything like that. They're all helping people, but the fact people charge for stuff, I don't like that. But at the same time, if you're going to run an organization, you need some money. Perhaps they should rely just on donations to help them keep going. Everybody fighting the system, even if you don't like them, if they're fighting the system and fighting for change, well, we have to, good on them. We can't separate one good guy because he's, you like him more than the other. Anybody fighting the system, we're good on them. What's happening there, Barbara? Queensland, what's being done at the... Hang on, I've jumped up farther. Oh God, yeah. You see, the family court is the most corrupt court and the most a great example of an unlawful court. Only the church can break up a marriage. So if you go back to that, and the only time man and woman is mentioned in the Constitution is marriage. So these family courts, these people, in head of their organization, they have to be taken to task through common law court and make them come. It happened in England. I mean, a lot of the judges in England have stepped down because they've been publicly humiliated by being charged with criminal activity. Hi, Diego Rigo. Hi. If a person is accused of something serious in the common law court, can they be from leaving the country? Well, at this stage, too small? No. We can't do very little you can do about it. Ask them. Look, they won't even turn up maybe for the jury. But they can be found, and it can be, the court case will go ahead in their absence, and they say they were found $100,000 or something like that. Well, then you go through the normal system, you take a lien on their property. That's all we have at this stage, but it's a start. We've got to start somewhere. We'll be starting very small. Actually, some being spoken about this in smart. Oh, well, no, Brisbane is not part of the smart city. It's only Victoria is the only state in Australia that's Daniel Andrews, because that's the one we're locked down on, and it's Daniel Andrews. When Clinton was here in 2018, he got a big check, probably $5 million, something like that. Somebody should be asking that question to Daniel: how much do the Clintons pay you to do this? Very good question. Anne Marie up in where the heck, Anne Marie? Yes, very interesting. Oh, good. I'm just trying to read this. Yes, well, hell is full of good intentions, but look, I've got no axe to grind with the system. I have no fines. I've never paid one in my life, and there's a way to get out of a fine. If you, I've had a couple, and you just promise to pay it, if they can carry on, do the right thing by you. But the reason I'm doing it is we have to fight back. We have to clear the system, and it's for everybody's good. I mean, even the police who are out there battling the system, for the system, by the system, they got family, they got bills and stuff, so they're pooing in their own nest. And I've said to a lot of cops, I said, why don't you, a group of you go and arrest Daniel Andrews? Now, somebody's got to remember this. A constable is not answerable to anybody. He makes that decision to charge somebody. The government, his bosses, cannot prevent him proceeding with the charge. It's He has total discretion. They don't need authorized officers. I mean, this has got to be the greatest laughable joke if we weren't pestered by it. So they have that right with that. They can go ahead and walk up to Daniel Andrews, place him on the Sec 458 of the Crimes Act, arrest him for treason, abuse of public office, unconscionable conduct in office, loss of memory in office, and arrest him. And that's it. And it's all over. But it take a lot of bottle to do it, and nobody has done it. Darwin was rumored to be already a smart. No, look, it's possible, but the only smart city that I know about is, I looked it up, researched it a little bit, is Victoria. It probably is a smart city if it's nice and warm, but they're not locked down. You see, you can tell it like in Beverly Hills a day or two ago. Trump supporters went into Beverly Hills. There was at least 1,000 of them, and they were extremely well behaved. They walked up to Beverly Hills. I know the area reasonably well. I spent a bit of time there with the police over the years, right? And the people on the footpath, and there was some beautiful cars, the Bentleys, you name them, but all the turkeys on the footpath were wearing masks. So they're Democrats, and they were going like giving the fingers to these people because they were Donald Trump supporters. So you can distinguish the fools and the supporters of the Democrats in the states by wearing masks. Now, Donald Trump has had the cities, he's having a lot of these big gatherings. I mean, 25,000 people behind him, they're wearing masks because that's the conditions, because these states are under lockdown. And he's done the right thing by wearing the mask, but the crowd itself are not wearing them. Kevin John has asked, oh God, I registered, the PSR, John, Kevin. The PSR was a great thing to start with. Bill Turner brought that in, but when the government realized thousands of people were jumping on this wagon to protect their property, they changed the rules. So the PPSR is not as good as it was before, and I think that it's not all that good anymore. You can register your products with the Common Law Court in the UK, and it has probably got more legs. Now, there's some businesses already done that there. You can put your car into the International Common Law Court. Had it been known, I was going to have the address, but it's on. Look at some of my videos. It's on there at the end of them. Just click to the end. The PPSR here, as far as I'm concerned, is no longer safe. Sharon. Oh, yeah. With police documents naming. Yeah, Bill Heffernan. Yeah, I don't. Sharon, that question, writing to these galars, because they're not representatives anyway, because all politicians are all guilty of treason, and they all know they're in a corporation. They're all breaking the law, so you waste your time even talk to them. Wait till it comes to it. When they start kissing babies and frightening the life out of them, then you get rid of them. Don't vote for them. I'm trying to ring a few more questions here. What's coming up? Greg, what's here? A few good YouTube channels about what's coming out. All right. Yeah, look, there's a lot of really good stuff on YouTube. You have to divide it by 4 or 5. I mean, there's some great stuff, and then there's a lot of stuff you've got to be very wary of, which is fair enough. Alexandria Ryan, thanks. I'm doing. Yeah, I'm trying to keep up here. I should have had a drip, a drip with fluid. I'm getting a bit thirsty, but anyway. Yeah, somebody, yes, John has registered the CLR. Well, good on you, John. Yeah, just don't expect they're about. John was telling me that a couple of weeks ago there are about 10 to 15,000 emails trying to catch up with them. And of course, if you send an email, and I get some emails, and I can't read them because there's about 15 bloody long. So just keep it to a couple of liners, and then you'll get response. Keep it down. Yeah, here's the way you should register with the internet with a common law court in the UK. It's a good idea. It's free, and you can put your car in there. So if they come to repossess your car, you can say, look, not only am I the keeper, because you don't own anything anymore. You say, well, I'm the keeper, but it's also there's another claim on it by the international court. The common law court in the UK owned the car as well, so they can't really take it off you. I'll do something on a talk about that sometimes. Gregor, great, oh, good. Oh, stamps. Somebody has asked about the creative stamps. Yes, I'll put up on the YouTube channel the address. This you can send for about $27 each. You need a couple of stamps. You need Postmaster General, and there's quite a few of this. I will do a video on it in the next couple of days because I'll explain exactly how to get the stamps. The company I get them here in Victoria, they're pretty fast. But since this lockdown crap, they're not nice people to deal to go into their shop anymore. God, they're weird, and I hope they're listening. In fact, they do send stuff out by post, and if you order the stamps today, you'll have them. You can pick them up tonight, or you'll have them in the post straight away. And the post is running a bit slow, obviously because of all the BS they're going through as well. I'll do a video in the next oh God, as soon as I can, and I'll put all that kind of stuff in because I'm getting a lot of questions on that. Sharon says thanks to Greg. Oh my God. Bill, thanks very big. Yeah, okay. Anybody got anything else they'd like to know before my tongue falls out? Okay, sorry, I've seen. Yeah, the tunnels. Yeah, I got a friend in Pennsylvania that was involved in looking. He's in the militia, and he went down the tunnels with the part of the reserve army, what they call. Oh, I forget. Anyway, he showed me photographs of the tunnels where he didn't see anything, but the tunnels things. It may be. Look, it wouldn't surprise me. And the people say there's tunnels in Melbourne, but there's a lot of stuff floating around. Has to be seen to be believed. I don't know. The virus thing, yeah, Susan it's all the virus is this time. A common cold has become a cover for the Democrats to keep Donald Trump, for keep the people from voting in the normal processes, keep them to get postal votes, and of course they can do it the like. Leo, yeah, smart cities, yeah, thanks for that. Thanks. City prisons, well, that's yeah, Leo, yeah, city prisons. Well, that's what we got here. See, obviously, when Clinton was here in 2018, and we were talking about meeting. Now she went to New Zealand as well to see Mr. Ed, and that's I call Mr. Ed anyway. It's a long story. Yeah, she would have promised Daniel Andrews, I'd say around $5 million, and he should be asked about it, how much he's been paid to lock us down, because he reminds me of a criminal that's really well smartened up, lawyered up, as they say. He says no, yes, no to all his answers, and he doesn't convict himself by saying anything outside the lines. He's definitely been briefed on what to say and what not to say, and he's already known who he's going to throw under a bus. So he went in there with arrogance the other day, and if you notice, the questions, his answers were very short, and the prosecution, or whoever the heck they were, they put a lot of words in to get very little back. So the whole thing is a whitewash, because he said at one stage, I set up this, and then he said we set up. So divide everything by 10. Mark Twain. Any law in mind? Suffering, yeah, the tunnels in Melbourne. Yeah, Mark. I don't know. They could be. I mean, Daniel Andrews is like a rabbit at the moment. He's burrowing holes for railways and stuff, which well, it could be seen on reasonable grounds. The money is coming from China. And of course, down the track if we don't pay our bills. Maybe China may come and repossess the railways and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. Uh, yeah. Well, Daniel Andrews is definitely, as someone said, the Labour Party should throw him out because he will never, never, ever get elected again, even by the idiots that we have here. Yeah, for few. What's this Sandra said? For tunnels. Oh, Caroline Stevens. Yes, well, I used to go on with Caroline Stevens, and some of the stuff she was going on with was absolute rubbish and annoying. So I fell out with her. But apparently, she got chucked off YouTube for some reason I don't know, and I don't like to see anybody getting chucked off. But a lot of her stuff was rather annoying, and you got to know when to hold them, when to fold them in that song, and when to walk away and when to run. But if you keep snapping at the heels, I don't knock YouTube or Facebook. And after all, the reason I don't do it is their platform. Even if their politics has got nothing to do with me, I'm just grateful for it, and I don't want to. I don't want to upset anybody. I want justice, and justice is. If you look at it in syntax grammar, what justice means, it means no law. Jury means no law. The words. That's something I'm working on helping people write stuff in syntax grammar. I need some help. I know how to do it, but I need some help. Caroline Stevens, yes, I think she's gone off YouTube. But as I said to her a lot of times, Karen, if you put up a video every day, nobody's going to watch it because they haven't got time. Barbara is my gateway to community sane. Oh, Barbara. Oh, okay. I'll have to look at that one. There's a few statements coming up here. Just looking at. Anyway, I'm going to pull the pin very shortly because I'm going to. God, no, this is the first time I've done. Next time I'll be a bit more prepared. This garden in the background, that's in Malahide Castle in Dublin. It's a beautiful gardens, and I was over there last year. I'm Irish, of course, of Irish descent. I'm an Australian through and through, and I've got the army uniform to prove it. And if Australia went to arms, yes, I would volunteer at my age to protect Australia. We have to protect it. We have to get our constitution back. We've got to get, even if you don't like the Queen of England has to come back because she's the head of state. And we have to get rid of these criminals. Where our politicians are not our friends, they're our enemies. At the moment, there's no politicians. There's just poly means many, titian means talk, and it's all talk fest. That's all we're getting BS all the time from them all. You can't trust any of them. People have asked why ScoMo Morrison hasn't done anything about it because he doesn't want to get into the affray. He's scared. He has no say over Daniel Andrews. Yes, still investigating them. Needs more clarity or verification. Yes, and it's true. There is a new platform, internet streaming, is called BrainTube. BrainTube is BrainTube. Have a look. See if that's real. I'll have a look at it. Yeah, that'd be good. Look. Thank God for YouTube and thank God for Facebook, because I've met a lot of my old army friends that I haven't seen in 50 years, and we've all caught up. So look at the good side of don't look at the negative side of even, but you'll find the people who don't like Donald Trump are wearing masks here, because Donald Trump, for some reason, and Donald Trump worked with his father on the building site. He collected all the waste materials and made some money out of them. He was put into a military school because he had a bit of a problem with discipline, and he came out top of the school and everything. His father wanted him to stay, and I've been to Queens in New York quite a lot of times, and it's where all the policemen live and all the people. I'll look it up. Brand new tube. Okay. Donald Trump. Instead of going back with his dad into Queens to build houses there, I've seen his house, and it's a large house where he lived as a kid in Queens. And Queens is a place. There's a deadly area of Queens, and there's a good area of Queens, and there was this ordinary policemen and all there. They mostly all live in Queens. But he decided to build houses to go into Manhattan itself, and he built a hotel. And he came in months and months and ahead of schedule and finance, and he put a black woman as the builder, as the engineer or whatever it was, and he gets no credit for that. And he made his own money. This thing goes on and on. Okay. No, Mark Linden. Oh, Mark Linden. Yes, I think I've heard of Mark. Brian, we've looked him up. That's awesome. Okay, guys, listen, I'm going to have to pull the pin because I didn't even bring a glass of water down here. Been great talking to you guys. Thanks very much, and we'll do it again maybe another time. Sorry, the spell check misspelled. Oh, who cares? If you wrote a letter and there's half of it was spelled wrong anyway, people can still read it, so they tell me. And I'm a lousy speller anyway, and I got 2 degrees. Anyway, guys, look, take care of yourself. Thanks for this afternoon. Yeah, great. Thank you too. And look, I'll come up with some more information. I'll try and do something on the stamps, and okay, thanks for that. Okay, bye for now, guys. I'm going to end the broadcast. Cheers. Nice seeing you guys, talking to you, and I wish I could see you, but you're out there. So I'll go back out in the garden here. Okay, bye for now. Bye, everybody. Bye.